Hey everybody, it's Kelly from Welch Team at Keller Williams. I am here for our June Ask the Agent monthly market update. It's a little bit of a rainy day today. Elsa has been pretty much a non-event, but nonetheless, I know a lot of people are working from home today and a lot of activities in Northeast Florida were canceled in preparation. So I hope that everybody is staying safe. It's just going to be me today. George is trying to enjoy family vacation on the west coast of Florida, so hopefully they are not getting rained out. And we are going to cover a bunch of information I think you guys will find really useful. And if you have any questions, please just type them below. All right, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here and we'll jump right in. All right. So today again, July 7th, just me here, no George today. Wanted to quickly go over Northeast Florida local market update. This is all of the Northeast Florida Association of Realtors activity that shows in the MLS, the multiple listing service from the month of June. So inventory levels have been rising, which is great, but they are still down. We saw 4,284 active properties hit the market in the month of June, which is great because if you guys remember, we were sitting in the 3,000s. Sold listings have gone up. So we know that there are plenty of buyers out there that are looking for properties, and the more inventory that we have available, the more sold listings we will have. Average list price and average sale price have both gone up at 373 and 471 respectively. Now this includes all of Northeast Florida, so that's St. John's, Clay, Duval, and the surrounding counties. And before I go forward, I just want to say, everyone is asking, oh my gosh, what's happening next? Are we in a bust? Is the market going to collapse? What's happening with the housing industry? So I want to address those concerns pretty much throughout today's market update. So let's hop into that. And the very first thing I'll say to you guys is no, we are not going to crash, especially here in Northeast Florida. So it is not 2007. We are not in a real estate bubble that is nearly similar at all to what was happening back in 07. We have a really, really large lack of supply in properties. Back in 07, new construction, there were so many homes being specced out and so many properties being built. We had an oversupply back then and we didn't have enough demand. So here we are, we have massive lack of supply. Bidding wars, prices are continuing to rise, mostly because we have more buyers than we have homes, again, which correlates back to number one. So when you have less buyers, prices are going to go up. And then our financial system and our consumers are much more prepared than we were back in 07. And we'll get into each of these a little bit more in detail. Okay, so number one we talked about was lack of supply. So when you have lack of supply, obviously we don't have enough inventory for people to get into. Why? Where is that occurring at? In Northeast Florida, and again, these markets are directed mostly at our Northeast Florida part. Sometimes we'll talk about national averages, but really these are directed at what's happening here in Northeast Florida. New construction. So we cannot keep up with the demand of people that are out there looking and shopping for new homes. Some of that we saw prior to March 2020, prior to the beginning of the pandemic, and that was exacerbated by more people moving here because of the pandemic, because they're looking for a different state, because they're looking for more land, because they're looking to get out of a looking to get into a more lessly populated metropolitan center. Density here is key. So new construction can't keep up with the demand, and along with new construction, just in general, cannot build houses fast enough. Well, why? Labor costs have gone up. The costs of lumber have gone up. Permits can't be issued that fast. So when you go to build a new home or when you go to make changes to an existing home, you need to go through the county permitting department, and that takes time. And then the cost of related materials, not just lumber, in terms of building properties. So we've seen everything from, windows, nails, doors, flooring, all of those costs have risen along with other costs around the country due to some of the logistics and just getting stuff shipped across the globe, depending on where those products are coming from. Home prices are going up. So state of Florida, you'll notice top 5 metro areas on here in their increase home price year over year, 20.5%. I mean, that's a crazy increase if you guys think about it. If you take your average home value, let's say last year the average was sitting around 250,000 and you increase that by 20%, that's a huge jump. And we're going to see that in a minute. All year we've been talking about during these monthly updates that Tampa and Jacksonville are really right there. I mean, Tampa's numbers are astonishing, and Jacksonville, we've been pretty much undervalued for a long time. And we are now starting to see some of the population shift from other parts of the country and then other parts of the state, some of the more southern parts of the state of Florida, moving up north, because you can still get a waterfront property in the Northeast Florida region or just a 3,000 square foot home for a lot cheaper than what you're going to see in other major metro areas or even areas like South Florida. Home pricing index. So I want to touch on this a little bit because this has to do with those prices. Why are those prices going up? This is a national study done by CoreLogic. So these are year over year prices, because everybody that we hear, oh, I'm going to wait and purchase my house until the prices come down. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not going to be anytime soon. Home prices are not going to go down. We're going to see a steady increase. They might not be, hand over fist like they are now, but they year over year, this purple bar here, year over year, we anticipate home prices to rise another 3.3. So if you're in May of 2020, this is May data, I should tell you, May 2021 data. So May 2022, we're looking at another 3.4% increase in month over month. So this is May 2021. So there was a 2.3% increase over April 2021, and June, another 0.8% increase over May. So all signs point to continued price increases, not just here, but nationally as well. What's happening here? I just told you, we had that 20% year over year. So in the last 6 months, the median price, so median a little bit different than your average, but it's really important that we don't try to skew the numbers of what we're talking about by saying, oh, the average home price, and take that across the board, because the average, of course, is taking into consideration all the luxury properties and $1 million plus properties that have been moving at a rapid pace in Northeast Florida. And so that would really skew our numbers when the majority of the properties in Northeast Florida are around that 300,000 mark. So look at this incredible gain from just January of 2021 till June 2021. Holy cow, that's $46,000, almost $47,000 increase in home value. That's a ton of equity, and that's going to be really important for homeowners as we go forward. So how did we get there? How did we get to $47,000 more in a 6-month time frame? Well, a lot of you may have heard about this term that's been thrown around, appraisal gap. What is an appraisal gap? Well, an appraisal gap right here on your screen is when the offered price, the contract price on a property is higher than what the appraised value of the home is. And therein lies the discrepancy. Lenders only will lend up to the amount that a home appraises for. So a buyer has a choice at that point in time. Is the buyer going to pay money out of pocket to cover that difference between their offered price and accepted price and what the property came appraised at, or are they going to walk away? In many instances, we have seen buyers that are bringing cash to the closing table in order to make up that appraisal gap difference. What's that doing? That is increasing the comparable sales across the board. So 6 months from now, when you go to list your home on the market, we're going to be looking at comps that are, sitting at 290 versus the 256 that we saw earlier. And we are going to then be pricing homes off of those values, and lenders will be using those new values as the comparable set. So that appraisal gap should shrink smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, there are a couple other factors here that are going to play into that, and that has to do with cash transactions, which do not require an appraisal. So we'll get to that in 1 second. Market stability was that third thing that I had on our original slide as to, is this 2007? No, it is not. And the third key piece of that is market stability. So in 2007, we had a lot of really terrible mortgage lending practices. Without going into a economics lesson on what happened with all the mortgages and mortgage-backed securities back then, we have much better underwriting guidelines that are in place now to help ensure that the people that are purchasing properties can afford to purchase those properties. We are seeing many, many more consumers who are using conventional loan products, which are going to require a down payment as well. So there is skin in the game versus what was happening in 2007. The second part of market stability, I just showed you a slide that said home prices have increased in 6 months. Can you imagine what that translates into homeowner equity? So if you bought your house in January, you are probably already sitting with equity in your property. In 6 short months, you have gained enough equity to turn around and sell that property. Not every property, but this could very well be the case in many situations. You could turn around and sell that property and clear your mortgage and all of your closing costs, and you're sitting on equity in that home immediately. And the third thing in here, market stability, again, this is directed at Northeast Florida, are consumers purchasing with cash. We have seen a massive influx in the state of Florida and in Northeast Florida of people coming from other states where the median salary, the average salary of somebody moving down here is a lot higher than what the average salary of somebody that's currently living here. Therefore, their purchasing power is much greater. Somebody may have sold a 1-bedroom studio for $800,000 in a major city, and that same $800,000 will buy them a 3,500 square foot home with a pool in the best school district in the country. So we are sitting in a very unique situation where consumers purchasing with cash can come in, get a much larger property, and still have money in the bank. That equity gain that I was just talking about, this is a national average of what equity, how much equity homeowners have right now, or the average homeowner per state. And so you can see right here, the state of Florida, again, this is an average of the whole state of Florida. So you have to think about Miami pricing in there as well. Oops. But let's go back here real quick. $26,000, the average homeowner equity. And we're talking about, with an average homeowner price, the average median price under $300,000 for Northeast Florida. That's a lot of money. That's your down payment. Who's moving here? And I just talked about how can people buy this cash? Why are we not worried about appraisal gaps when people are coming in with cash offers? Well, if you're moving again from Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago, I've showed you guys this slide before, but if you're moving here from those cities, you have a lot of buying power and you probably have a lot more cash on hand than somebody who's moving or upsizing their home that's already living in Northeast Florida. A lot of that, of course, is wage dependent upon the state that you came from. And so what's going to happen for the rest of 2021? Everybody wants to know, well, what's next? If I had a crystal ball, then I probably wouldn't be sitting here giving you guys monthly market updates. I'd probably be sitting on a beach somewhere with a Mai Tai and a nice little umbrella on the top of my drink and independently wealthy. However, I can say that all reputable sources, including some of the nation's federal economists, are looking at continued home price rises into 2022 and some areas, including Florida, into 2023. What else is happening? Buyer fatigue is real. So if you are a home buyer and you have been out there and you have been putting in offer after offer and getting denied, and homeowners are going with other buyers, that fatigue starts to set in and it makes you really gun shy, and it makes you probably not want to go look at other properties coming in the future. So that buyer fatigue is happening. Average days on market, it might not be 2 days, maybe it's 7 now. but that's still an incredibly swift moving market. And if you're a buyer and you're looking for a property, there is going to be one out there for you. Because of three, we are slowly starting to see an increase in supply, and consumer confidence in the direction that things are going is leading to more and more homeowners putting their property up for sale as well. Something to look at, which impacts who's in the market to buy versus who's in the market to rent, are rental prices. We are seeing a ton of out of state investors who are looking to move into our neck of the woods and snap up single family homes and turn them into single family rentals. That will come with an increase in rental rates. And some of the models that I've seen from some of the investment companies that we have worked with are crazy numbers, $400, $500 more a month. So if you're a renter and you are now looking at paying an additional $400 to $500 a month, would that money be better served as a purchase, as a mortgage monthly instead of on rent? And then mortgage rates. So mortgage rates will slowly start to inch up. I don't think that mortgage rates are going to get to an astronomical level where we'll see people not wanting to uh, not wanting to take out a new loan. You have to remember that current interest rates are still historically low. Even, we're sitting right around 3%. If we go up to 3.2 or 3.5 or even 4%, that's an incredible mortgage interest rate. Just 2 years ago, people were excited when they were getting interest rates in the fours. So if we head back up into the four range, your buying power is still significant. That is our update for this month. I know I tried to cram a lot of information into a really short period of time. If there's anything specific that you guys have questions about, please reach out. Again, this is Kelly with Welch Team Keller Williams. You can reach us at 904-476-5539. You can hit us up on Welch Team, pretty much our handle for any social media outlet, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Check out our Google business reviews. But best way to reach us, quickest way to reach us, just shoot us a message below or give us a call at 904-476-5539. See you guys later. Stay dry out there.